What's up guys, welcome to AnimeKouhai. If you want to help me out, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel.
They also knew how to divide tasks among their party members, which I appreciated. Bisson's party was all about fighting, but now we saw groups with each member picked to carry out a particular role. Fighters to handle the monsters, explorers to handle traps and mazes, and gatherers with a wealth of knowledge to tap. Balance was the watchword with these parties, and it really struck me how adaptable they all were. So the adventurers quickly completed the training missions and dived into the dungeon. Those with ruin exploration experience were masters at trap removal. They didn't sprint for every treasure chest they saw. Compared to the bodyguards and mercenaries we saw first, they were quite careful, demonstrating an even more professional performance than I imagined. Seeing them execute such a clear understanding of the rules, I started to think we shouldn't have reigned in the dungeon after all. So just a few days after the second wave arrived, someone managed to beat floor 10. Now the challengers were really on a roll, learning from their predecessors' mistakes, painstakingly devising countermeasures, and starting to make real, constant headway. And once someone figured out how to handle this trick or that monster, word spread fast about it. People started to imitate the winning formula. I bet people were selling their advice too. No stopping them, I suppose. If maps were a non-starter, I suppose information comes next. I really had to hand it to them, and really, the more enthusiastic everyone was, the better. And the town was starting to see the challengers' progress as a kind of spectator sport to enjoy over drinks. The shops, the inns, the taverns, rumors spread everywhere, packed with tales that delighted and thrilled. Among them came word about one party appearing out of nowhere to blaze down the labyrinth at a previously unheard of speed, a stout and well-balanced group of 10. The first thing they did was add themselves to the save point on floor 10. One of them joined a party who had already made it that far down. He then put his info in the save point, used a return whistle to go back to the entrance, and then headed down with his own party. I was anticipating this and had no issue with it, but the speed they proceeded at astounded me. In just 3 days or so, they had defeated the boss monster on floor 20. They had talent, no doubt, each one ranked around AB individually, but maybe B+ as a group. All 10 of them showed great teamwork too, so in terms of real strength, I bet they could earn an A-. But if they're going this fast, there had to be some kind of trick behind it. I mean, they kept on selecting the shortest routes through each floor, every time.
Understood. Elemental interference detected. An elementalist is utilizing elemental communication.
Oh, that. An elementalist is a magician capable of harnessing the power of elemental spirits. One of the tricks up their sleeve is elemental communication, allowing them to listen to the words of those elemental spirits. If they can talk to wind and earth elementals on a deep enough level, it seems, those spirits will guide them down the correct path to the stairs, and since an elementalist could tap that, a twisty maze of passages was no sweat to them. Those dirty, dirty elementalists. But sadly, this was fully within the rules. After all, there's no guarantee the spirit you tap into will always give you the correct path. Besides, there were precious few elementalists in the world, so I didn't even consider that kind of workaround. As far as I was concerned, this was a perfectly valid approach, one I shouldn't bother trying to counteract. If anything, I should praise them for coming up with it. The party's rapid advance continued anon. Part of our procedure was that whenever a party conquered a new floor, it was announced across town. Thanks to that, the party members quickly became household names. The crack team of explorers were collectively called Green Fury, their mystery elementalist serving as leader, and before long, they were rapidly approaching Masayuki's team Lightspeed in popularity. Just as we hoped, the labyrinth was now hosting serious talent. No doubt we'd see more young challengers visit town with dreams of fortune and glory. The labyrinth, currently enjoying a steadily growing audience of challengers, had become a well-oiled machine. We took this opportunity to gather again. It had been 10 days since we reorganized the labyrinth, so I wanted us to confer and talk about any problems that had come up. Unlike before, everything was going great, so the mood was lighthearted, natural smiles all around.
Ah yes, Masayuki, was it? I always thought you had potential, but now I see you are a mighty man indeed.
Veldora seemed very chipper today, and the moment we were all together, he was heaping Masayuki with praise.
Oh, you think so? Thanks.
Masayuki didn't seem sure how to respond. He looked at me, as if to ask, who is this guy? I did introduce them to each other last time, but Masayuki was kind of nervous back then. I could see it if he didn't remember him.
I think I introduced you before, but
No, people just started talking and stuff, so.
Oh, did we?
Understood. As the subject Masayuki Honjo stated, no introductions were made.
Oh, guess my memory was pretty hazy, too. Can't blame Masayuki then, I thought.
Ah well, let me do that now. This is Veldora, a good friend of mine. He's serving as the master of the labyrinth's 100th floor.
Indeed, it is I, Veldora, and I gladly accept you as one of us, Masayuki. Welcome.
To Veldora, Masayuki was part of the club already. He flashed him a friendly smile. Then Masayuki's face visibly whitened.
By Veldora, do you mean the catastrophe that killed the entire army of Pharmas?
Oh, right, that was the rumor we spread around. I don't mind telling Masayuki the truth, but it's kind of a long story and there's no pressing reason to. Let's just go with this.
Yeah, he's kind of a big shot, so try not to rile him, okay?
Oh, but I am a generous soul indeed, so it takes a great deal to anger me. And if you provide me with sweet treats to eat, I would not hesitate to offer you my protection.
There he goes again. I rolled up my notepapers and swatted him with them. Punishment complete. Discipline, you know, it's important. It must have surprised our local dragon, because he shouted.
What are you doing?
And so on for a bit, but I still had Ramirez to introduce.
And this is Ramirez, a fairy and someone you could call the ruler of the labyrinth.
Masayuki had been muttering things like,
So I wasn't imagining it.
in the midst of this, but my voice helped him regain his composure. His eyes turned to Ramirez, flapping in the air.
Oh, you're a fairy, Ramirez? And you built that entire amazing labyrinth? That's really great.
The compliments were more than enough to get Ramirez going as well.
Whoa, hey, I like you. In fact, I'll gladly name you my underling. And Rimuru, did you hear that? He said that I'm really great.
She was kicking the air in my direction, visibly excited as she bragged. God, lay off. If I played along, she'd only get worse. Ignoring the dropkicks she applied to me, I tried to move things forward.
Yeah, congrats.
I replied.
If Masayuki wants to be your underling, have at it, I guess.
A hero serving as a henchman for a demon lord. Whatever. But this must be hopelessly confusing Masayuki, right?
Who is Ramirez, exactly?
She may not look it,
I said, matching Masayuki's quiet whisper.
but she's a demon lord just like me.
Wha?
He exclaimed, frozen as the beaming Ramirez approached him. Our voices were hushed, but not enough for her sharp ears, I guess.
That's me, Ramirez of the Octogram. Good to become officially acquainted, Masayuki.
Huh? Ramirez? You're a demon lord? And Veldora's a dragon. Wow. Really?
Masayuki? The thought of dealing with a demon lord and storm dragon all this time dazed him. I guess I should have explained things fully before making the introduction. That's on me, but Masayuki had to take some of the blame here. He's the one who acted all cool and collected at our last meeting. That's why I assumed he knew them already. It was his nerves of steel that allowed him to keep his composure. I didn't realize he was clueless this whole time. They say ignorance is a sin, but sometimes it's your greatest asset. Masayuki had been accepted by a dragon and demon lord, and he never even realized it. Once again, I couldn't help but marvel at his luck. It was Mjolmile who finally threw Masayuki a life preserver.
Lady Ramirez, please, none of that. Why, Sir Masayuki would hardly even know how to respond, would he?
Since he was such a fan of Masayuki, I suppose Mjolmile assumed that conversation was a joke, Ramirez making unreasonable demands, and the kind hero unsure how to react. I figured Masayuki's response would have disillusioned him, but I guess that's the hero's skill at work. Or maybe not. Somehow, it seemed like Mjolmile really believed in Masayuki from the heart. Seeing it, or maybe even feeling it, Masayuki smiled.
This is Mjolmile, my trusted advisor and the head of Tempest's financial department. Kind of our Minister of Finance, I suppose.
A pleasure to meet you again, Sir Masayuki.
That's kind of you, Mjolmile.
Oh, no, I'm just an upstart from the underground.
Well, as you said, I'm afraid I can't join with you right now, Ramirez. I've already promised Rimuru that I'd give him my support.
Masayuki lightly bowed at Ramirez.
I'll bet.
Mjolmile said.
Sir Rimuru does have a way of taking advantage of people.
What had I ever done? And Ramirez was ready to join him.
Well, if that's how it is, so be it. You're so cunning, you know that, Rimuru?
Hey.
I nonchalantly replied.
First come, first served.
Then Veldora started bragging for some reason.
You won't find many people as dependable as Rimuru. Ramirez, I think you'll have to give up on ever getting ahead of him. But let's hear from Masayuki now. We need to proceed.
I had my qualms about what everyone here thought about me, but, yes, we were still making introductions. It seemed kind of moot though. Everyone already knew his name.
Alright, Masayuki, you go ahead.
Okay.
He said with a nod.
I think some of you are aware by now, but my name is Masayuki. I come from the same world as Rimuru, and now we're working together. People call me a hero, but please don't let that cloud your judgment.
He gave his introduction facing all the others, back straight. I felt like he wanted to tell them he called himself a hero just as a joke, but with Myeolmile looking straight at him, I suppose he opted against that. Highly adaptable as always, he was already back to his usual composed self. Defiant, you could say. They may have met last time, but he was capable of being all smiles with Veldora and Ramirez, which took guts. He really was someone special. Maybe it wasn't his unique skill chosen one having its effect on the people around him. Maybe a lot of it was just his own personality. I didn't think there was any way he could wield this much influence with a unique skill alone. That, I thought as we wrapped up the introductions, we could try verifying later on. We were all seated. Our last meeting was something of an emergency confab, but this time, things were less urgent. We were all at ease.
I have to say, Masayuki, you sure are something. We owe all our success to you.
Ramirez started excitedly shouting the moment she was seated.
Let's not forget.
Veldora added.
Myeolmile has done much for us, too. As you said, perhaps we were right not to simplify the dungeon too much.
I agreed with them both. Putting our minds together like this was what provided success, no doubt about it.
Oh, I'm just glad I could help.
Yes, and I hardly did anything myself. None of this would be possible without all of your powers.
That's it for this video, guys. Thank you for always watching my videos and supporting my channel. Shoutout to JB, Rahul Subramanian, Rembaru, Omkar Gujar, Emmanuel Leong, Macdi Gandelera, Lolly, Ender Squad 360, Anime Music Compilations, and last but not the least, shoutout to Spidey Grapple Master. I'll see you guys in the next video.